Allison LaForgia, managing editor of HousingWire's Content Studio, and today I am with a very special guest from Aspen Grove, Alex Verget, who is the VP of Business Solutions. Alex, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Allison.
Let's start with your background and what led you to your current role at Aspen Grove, and what you guys are working on, and your unique perspective to mortgage servicing.
My entry into mortgage servicing, I've been in the space for 6 years now, but it's hardly straight. I came through a geographically diverse selection of careers and industries.
Everyone lands in mortgage in some weird way,
okay.
So I love that. You are not alone.
Mortgage servicing to me started actually in Dubai in 2008 with the global financial crisis. And I was living and working there as a teacher, but I can remember overnight the way that the city just almost imploded on itself. Projects were collapsing. The Burj Dubai, which was the tallest building in the world at the time, the project stopped. Thousands of people lost their jobs, lost their houses, got on airplanes and never returned.
Terrible.
I was one of them. I left Dubai at that time. I moved to Jordan and took up a job with an enterprise software technology, but this is infrastructure, not mortgage servicing. And eventually that got me to Ireland, where I found Aspen Grove, and that's who I'm working with now. Aspen Grove is a business process management solution that works with servicers and sub-servicers to deliver an efficient and borrower and servicer-friendly workflows around their data. But when I think about mortgage servicing, one of the lessons I learned all the way back in 2008 is still applicable today, and it goes to that Burj Dubai. Nobody knows it as the Burj Dubai today. It's called the Burj Khalifa.
I didn't even know it had a first iteration.
So the Burj Khalifa is named as it is because when the project collapsed, the competing Emirate of Abu Dhabi had to bail out the project and finance the tower for Dubai.
Okay.
The lesson from all of that is collaborate or collapse.
Collaborate
and I
or
still
collapse.
hold that true in mortgage servicing today. Collaboration is what's going to empower all of the future of servicing. It's what we do. I think we have to build that into our operations and our philosophies in order to make sure that we never go back to those days, to make sure that we keep compliant and that we keep servicing in a space that's healthy for the industry, but most importantly, healthy for the borrowers on the other side.
Now, let's dig into that collaboration piece, because the servicing space continues to grapple with that idea of legacy infrastructure and complex regulatory demands. So two big pieces there. What do you see as the biggest obstacles to overcome to really get to a point of true modernization for this process?
Yeah, there could be one or two obstacles in the way.
Just a few, right?
When I think about servicing, it's really like my career has been spent at the intersection of humans and technology, right? So I'm in new product development, and what I love to do is solve the problems that the people have using the technology. And when I look at a mortgage servicer, for example, right in the middle of the ecosystem, they might sign in during the day and they sign into a CRM solution, then they might open up a system of record solution, then they probably have a compliance solution and vendor solutions. They have all this like technology ecosystem around them. They have to learn to operate that, but then they also have to learn the compliance piece that goes along with that.
Right.
Which
is critical.
Which is super critical. But so much of that's like in their head, right? And that becomes the subject matter expertise that they have to then distribute to the teams that they work in. If we could simplify their work environment even a little bit, like you create efficiencies. If you could take that subject matter expertise and democratize it into the teams, you create efficiencies. So that's in the middle. And if I go from like a bottom-up approach, data. There's a great quote from my fictional hero, Sherlock Holmes, "I cannot make bricks without clay," right? And that's the data is the clay that builds the business operations. So if we could improve the data, create it into a standard single pane, then you reuse it, you create efficiencies that way too. And then from a top-down approach, I know I'm going like middle, bottom, top, right?
Let's go for it.
A top-down approach looks like a lot of people in the servicing industry, I'm not going to like name names or companies or whatever, think of it as a zero-sum game.
Okay.
Where they can only be successful at somebody else's expense, or they can only make profits. But I think the collaboration and a growth mindset looks like there's space in this market for everybody to be successful.
Okay.
And we're all going to do that. So I think if we change that zero-sum mindset, if we improve our data, and most importantly, if we give the servicers in the middle the tools to be successful and simplify a little bit their days, that's going to make a big difference.
So it sounds like that collaboration piece is critical. So how do you look at effectively breaking down those silos and driving the collaboration across all of housing finance?
When I'm thinking about housing finance, we are in an affordability crisis right now. My cousin, for example, she recently moved out to Denver from the East Coast, and she's a teacher. I won't get into specifics, but like average teacher wage is $60,000 a year. The median house in Denver right now is $500,000.
Wow.
So there's this massive affordability gap for so many people in her generation. I'm talking like mid to late 20s, right? And there's programs and Teacher Next Door, and there's assistance that's available, but
we're not addressing the core need, right, in those programs.
Like, people can't get into housing.
Exactly.
It used to be that the ladder was just a little bit off the ground, and you could get on the ladder and make your way up. The ladder is way above now. People are reaching for it.
That first rung is pretty high up there.
They need a step ladder to get on the ladder in the first place. And, there's all sorts of structural things that we can do to try and fix that problem. But from a servicing side, if we could connect loan officers to servicers and be able to really share the data between those different stakeholders, that would be a huge win in terms of the relationship that once somebody has that loan, they go back to that loan officer, they understand those people, but that person very rarely has visibility into the performance of the loan or what's going on. So we've got the ability to pipe that data to show them what they need from a loan officer perspective, but not show them everything from the servicing side. And then keeping the servicing compliant and exposing it to auditors in a very quick fashion. Like, everything that happens in our system is time, date, audit stamped, and can be accessed from the auditing very easily. So it creates that sort of end-to-end view from the different stakeholders. That builds efficiency, that creates better borrower experiences. And that's really what we hope to deliver.
So you just mentioned a better, more efficient process. I want to talk a little bit about scalability for a second and how your approach helps people mitigate problems when they're looking at organizational growth or even market fluctuations. How does your approach help partners scale efficiently without sacrificing that quality or that compliance that you just mentioned?
Okay. The two key pieces. It's kind of like a seesaw of like quality and compliance.
What
right?
do you
like
favor?
How
do you keep them together and move forward?
I'll start with the quality piece. Quality to me is a function of repetition. Okay? And so the more you do something, the better you get at it. The more you can standardize, the better it becomes, and the more you can scale it. So we use a no-code, low-code platform.
Nice.
To build out the workflows first. We start with the workflow. So if it's loss mit, like, what do I need to get to a completed package? If it's cash processing, what do I need to execute this remittance? So we go through the workflow piece, and then we identify the data that you need to do that thing, and we backfill the data. That whole workflow piece can be broadcast out to a team, but easily changed because it's low code, no code. If there's a new regulatory piece that comes in, you can tweak it, standardize it, implement it. What used to take months is now hours or days in terms of implementation. So from a quality perspective, that's great. From a compliance side, so that's quality, like, you got to repeat and improve.
Right.
From a compliance side, the software itself is, you can manipulate to guardrail functions. Okay, so there's so many different people involved in mortgage servicing. They have so many different demands. If you can guide them through that workflow to do the steps in a compliant piece, if we said, a 30-day SLA or a 5-day SLA in terms of acknowledgements, you build those rules into the structure of the software. So just by executing the task, you stay compliant.
Okay.
And so that's how by building out the workflow in a compliant way and then standardizing it and improving it over time, that's how we can scale from that perspective.
So I want to talk a little bit about the experience for users and what that looks like on their end, now that we've talked about how you balance this quality and this compliance piece. The regulatory piece is still key here. So how do you balance managing those regulatory requirements with delivering that intuitive and efficient experience for the users who are actually looking to use Aspen Grove?
Yeah. I mean, usability is key. Right?
Absolutely key.
20 years in software, and I know if they don't like it, they're not going to use it, and your product is gone.
Yes.
Like, it used to be that people spent loads of money on software licenses and like, you better use it. That's not the case. Today, if they don't like it, it's gone. So usability begins and ends in how we develop the software. What we've built from a platform perspective is a common UI that stretches across all the different business units. So you've got departments in special loans, investor reporting, accounting, loss mit, bankruptcy, whatever operation you're doing, the UI is the same. The workflow is different, but the UI is the same. So it creates efficiencies and allows people to move between different teams or do different functions that are very similar because they already understand how to execute those things from this single central platform. At the same time, we have to sort of think about who do we mean by users?
Right.
Okay, so there's the servicer or the sub-servicer in that middle of the ecosystem, but you've got technology partners, you've got different vendors, you've got the loan officers we mentioned, you've got the borrowers, of course.
There's many different parties involved in this that you have to consider.
Yeah. So how do we cater to all these different people? And to me, that's the real lift of this single pane data sharing platform that we have, is the ability to surface and hide data according to the function that's being executed. So for example, if I'm reviewing a package, I might want to look at a transaction history, right? I can see a payment history, and then I can hide that data. Whereas so often, we just give all the people all the data all the time, and it's overwhelming.
And then you have mountains of data, and then you have to do something with it.
How do I dig through this? How do I get to what I need to do? When we start with the workflow, and then we identify the data, we realize, well, you really need these 10 key points.
Okay.
If you need more, you can go get it. It's there, it's available. And you don't have to switch screens or go anywhere else. You stay on the task you're doing, you find that auxiliary data, you implement what you're doing, and you move on. You can tailor that to the particular user. So is it the loan officer? Is it the vendor who's signing in to do their task? Is it the servicer who's doing that execution? All of those different perspectives, they still engage in the same platform, but they're only seeing what they need to do their task. Does that make sense?
It does. It sounds like you have really thought about how to make this the most efficient, non-overwhelming process so that you're giving the user of the platform exactly what they need to do their job successfully, compliantly, and in a way that meets not only internal expectations, but also delivers a good experience to the borrower and everyone else who touches the loan. So I have to ask you, now that we've gone over that, what's next?
Wow, what's next?
What's next?
The future, right? Prognosticate into my crystal ball here. Okay, we can't talk about what's next without talking about artificial intelligence and AI.
Of course.
Yeah. When I started talking about data earlier, the reason you're improving your data and the structure of that data and the usability is because data is going to create the next potential, unlock the future with artificial intelligence. That's the engine. So you've got to have good data. Artificial intelligence means lots of different things to a lot of different people, but
there's always that qualifying question first, right?
Right? Like, what are we talking about? I don't like things that are artificial. If I'm having a coffee, I want sugar in my coffee.
Okay.
If you put artificial sweetener, I know the difference, right?
There is a discernible difference.
I'm going to take artificial out of AI and put amplification in as a different A word, okay? If you've got good data and good process and you layer in AI, you're going to amplify that good bright data and process. If you've got bad data and bad process, and you put AI on top, you're going to amplify what comes out. So when we think about the future of servicing and how AI interacts, I think back to the beginning of my career in enterprise software. We were moving from physical infrastructure to cloud-based infrastructure. And what that allowed us to do was totally change the business model from software from a license-based to a usage-based. And then we had massive computational power that came in the cloud, which allowed you to go to feature-level tracking. Now this is going into a very detailed perspective, but in the space of 5 years, software went from a license-based model to understanding exactly what features in the product are being used and being able to pass that to a development team to improve the software without having that feedback interaction, because you could see it technically.
It's a massive improvement.
Massive. And in 5 years that happened. It was, from an operational perspective, it was like a blink of an eye.
Exactly.
We are there right now with artificial intelligence.
Okay.
We're already using the platform in selective ways in terms of artificial intelligence, but it's unlocking something else in the way that we don't quite know what it's going to unlock. But for sure, we know things are changing. It's coming.
It's coming.
Yeah. So humans and technology, right? 20 years in space. I love that. I'm very excited about the opportunity that presents, about building software with an empathetic experience for the borrowers, for the servicers, a human-centric approach, and being able to augment those good processes and good data with artificial intelligence. I think it's going to be a win-win. It's that collaboration approach, right? It's
all back to that
importance
mindset of the collaboration that you mentioned initially when we started talking.
Yeah. In Aspen Grove, I'm thrilled to work with an outstanding group of people that are excited about this, that are hardworking, that bring it. What we've done in the past 2 years, building out this end-to-end servicing experience, is the thing that nobody thought you could do for years and years and years. And everybody was working in component pieces and different servicing systems and different technologies. And being able to unify that and see it end-to-end, it's just starting. And when I think about the next 5 to 10 years and where technology is going,
the opportunity is massive.
I'm very excited. Yeah, it's massive. It's gonna be so cool to come back to these conferences
and see
in
what's
5 years'
next.
time and see
and what you've accomplished. So we'll have to revisit it in 5 years.
Oh, let's go sooner than that.
We'll do it sooner than that. I mean, with the pace of innovation that we're at right now, who knows where we're going to be in 6 months?
Absolutely, yeah.
So Alex, thank you so much for talking to me about your unique perspective and how Aspen Grove is really bringing that end-to-end solution to mortgage servicing. I can't wait to see what's next.
Me too. Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.